The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Rad Religion Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood, and him downstairs is Robert Winfrey.
Downstairs? I turn into Boo Radley.
No, it's a Bernie Mac joke. He was talking about his nieces and nephews that he adopted from their crack-addicted mother, and he was doing an impression of one of them, and the kid saying to another kid of Bernie Mac, him downstairs. You'd be him.
Okay.
Hello, Robert.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
You want to host the show now?
Sure. That's what you pay me for. Oh, wait.
I thought that was my joke.
No, that's not your joke. It's my joke. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Damn You Hollywood. Today, we are discussing, well, one of the biggest movie releases of the year, maybe the biggest movie release, financially speaking, when it's all said and done. Spider-Man, brand new. Nothing's new. Brand new day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Spider-Man Brand New Day, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. The fourth MCU Spider-Man film finally strips Peter Parker back to the basics after No Way Home. With the world having forgotten Peter Parker, Tom Holland's wall crawler is once again your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, alone, anonymous, and protecting New York one street at a time. But a mysterious news threat, the arrival of Jean Grey, played by Sadie Sink, the Punisher, Bruce Banner, and Peter's own evolving powers threaten to upend his hard-earned fresh start. Is Brand New Day the grounding reset fans have been waiting for, or just another chapter in Marvel's ever-expanding machine? Join us as we break down the action, performances, story, comic inspirations, and whether Spider-Man's new beginning is worthy of the webhead's legacy. Swing in and listen. We are, of course, joined by resident Spider-Man enthusiast, Benjamin J. Cologne. How do you do?
I'm wondering if I'm the only one that the audio is cutting out for, but other than that, I'm good.
That may be me, that may be my microphone, or it just may be, who knows. Well, we're also joined by Alexis Hana. How do you do, madam?
Happy to be here. Did you guys miss me last week?
Sure. We beat the living shit out of
Evil Dead Burn.
That's going. I don't know about Robert, but it's definitely going on my worst of the year list.
We only get 5 spots, so I don't know if it'll make it by the end of the day, but...
Robert, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. You can't put 20 movies on your worst 5.
I'm aware. That's why I said it may not actually make the cut when it's all said and done, but...
Yeah, I felt bad that you sent me the link to get on. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize you had me down. So it's like, I show up uninvited for Minions and Monsters, and then I no-show on Evil Dead Burn. I gotta get my shit together.
Well, that was funny, because even Robert was like defending you. She's like, her name wasn't on it. I'm like, it's right here. I have it right here. I put it in there God knows how long ago.
Well, I think I got confused because when we reviewed Odyssey and you were talking about how you weren't crazy about seeing Evil Dead Burn, I said, well, if you don't want to be on it, I can, push the buttons with just me, Robert. You said you'd be on it, so I thought that was saying, oh no, we don't need you. So that was my takeaway.
I think, Jason, you had asked to be on it like a year ago, and I wrote your name in, and then maybe you've forgotten between now and then. A lot of life has happened between January and now, so...
That it has. But yeah, so sorry about the mix-up, but happy to be back. Happy to talk about it's like one of the biggest box offices of the year, and it's definitely going on my top 10 of the films of the year.
All right. Well, here's a quick recap of the Homecoming trilogy. That Robert and I think, reviewed Homecoming. I think the three of us reviewed Far From Home, and then it was me, Robert, and Gavin who reviewed. Well, that was a podcast where Gavin, Robert, and I reviewed No Way Home, and then a bunch of you kind of did your own separate thing because everybody wanted to be on that review, and I was beating you at the door. It's like, no, only Gavin can be on here, because when Gavin, look, the rule is everybody can be on a podcast except when Gavin shows up. Gavin shows up, I throw everybody off. Gavin is special. All right. But enough about Gavin. Gavin. Across the Homecoming trilogy, we saw Tom Holland's Peter as a convincing teenager before we saw him as a complete Spider-Man. Homecoming was the strongest character piece. Peter touches the sun with the Avengers, returns to ordinary life, overreaches, fails, and learns that the suit cannot make him a hero. Far From Home was less balanced. A sluggish first half and weak romance, followed by a stronger second half built around Mysterio's illusions, Peter's grief, and his fear of inheriting Tony Stark's burden. No Way Home was the biggest and most emotional, giving 3 generations of Spider-Man closure while keeping Holland central. It was also overlong, nostalgia-dependent, and riddled with avoidable writing problems. Overall, the trilogy is Peter's painful education, wanting responsibility, discovering it cost, and finally accepting it without Tony, technology, or even his own identity. Ben, coming off of No Way Home, what did you want from a fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man movie? Did you even want one? Did you please, you mentioned this perfectly, more? Or were you like, no, more Peter, more Spider-Man, more? And if that's the case, what did you want there to go out?
Mark, it wasn't just Ben this time. You were cutting out bad on my microphone, or on my headset as well.
All right, I will.
So you kind of sound like...
Don't tell me what I sound like. Just tell me if you can hear me.
Now I can hear you.
Good. Go, Ben.
Coming off No Way Home, and I love No Way Home, but No Way Home was kind of made for me, and it seemed like me and my nieces and nephews who all grew up on, the Raimi movies, so, and everything in between. So it seemed like that was kind of this was like clearing the decks. The Home trilogy kind of cleared the decks for what ended up being what Brand New Day was largely, and that is a version of the Marvel Universe, and Spider-Man's a little corner of the Marvel Universe that's a little bit more recognizable to people who grew up reading the comics. It was a little less, actually maybe a lot less Avengers dependent, and focusing a lot more on, solving, fighting street level crime in New York City. Apparently a very non-New York City, but okay. And it felt, it's funny because the first MCU Spider-Man was called Homecoming. This felt a lot more like a homecoming than that movie did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked where No Way Home left him, in the apartment Tobey Maguire was using in the Sam Raimi films.
Yeah.
Alexis, what did you want to see in a fourth Tom Holland movie?
Well, like you said, it really did feel like we were finally getting back to the roots of what made Spider-Man so enjoyable as a superhero. He doesn't have Tony Stark backing him anymore. He doesn't have the Iron Spider suit. He doesn't have all of the Avengers at his beck and call. He is now literally the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who's just going to be swinging around New York doing what he can. And I wanted to see more of that. I was like, okay, so we are finally back to classic Spider-Man. Good. Please let us keep him at classic Spider-Man. I hate to say it, it's like if I find out halfway through this there's another alien invasion, I'm going to be very pissed. And it's been mentioned before, but it does bear repeating. A lot of people point out Tobey Maguire was the perfect Peter Parker, but a lousy Spider-Man. And a lot of people say Andrew Garfield was a lousy Peter Parker, but a perfect Spider-Man. Tom Holland is perfect in both. I think he is the first actor to play the role that you get, you get the pull in both performances, and I absolutely love it. So, not to mention, this one actually, it treaded familiar territory without overdoing it. In the past...
Okay. Are you going to start reviewing the movie?
fine. I'll shut up.
I asked a simple question: what did you want from a new movie? Robert, your thoughts?
Not a whole lot. Look, this is on the schedule. It's not
Yeah.
a big secret at this point that most of the stuff I see is for this.
Well, let me press you on something because my answer is I wanted it to end. It was exactly where where he should have been. I think it was a perfect ending to the trilogy, and I kind of was now done. I mean, I know realistically that wasn't going to happen, and I accept that. But for my own personal taste, I was like, I'm done with the Spider-Man Marvel movies now. Let's go do something else. Let's do some new characters. So I'll say to you again, did you want it to end like I did, or were you like, well, if it's going to keep going, here's what I'd like to see?
I mean, I want a lot of things to end, Mark.
Don't we all?
Look, if you came to me and said, what would my Spider-Man movie look like if I get the gun to the head? You have to make another Spider-Man movie because Sony would be destitute without it, and Marvel doesn't want to give this back to Sony, so we're doing something with it.
Mm-hmm.
One, I would have grabbed whoever was responsible for the script Sony turned in for this movie and shot them in the head. If you're not familiar with what Sony wanted to do here, they wanted Peter to, guess what, meet the symbiote chunk left behind by Venom, turn into Venom, and Null was going to show up.
So basically, they just wanted Spider-Man 3 all over again.
Yep. Other symbiotes. Yeah, this is why Sony can't have nice things, because they don't deserve them.
We're getting Secret Wars, and the Russo brothers have admitted that Secret Wars was like their favorite comic book, and we all know the Spider-Man cover from Secret Wars. We're getting Black Suit Spider-Man, okay? People, chill.
I could not be less interested. Robert, let's get into the plot synopsis.
All right, so we are 4 years on from the end of No Way Home. And Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is now just pretty much Spider-Man. He is, despite everyone forgetting who Peter Parker is, he's still endlessly funded by the wealth of Tony Stark. He just chooses to use it to not have a job and have all the tech that he needs in his crappy little attic apartment in the building. So he is fighting crime. We get a bunch of flashbacks that all apes classic comic book covers, most of them from Spider-Man. So we get a bunch of those. We learn that he has cleaned up crime in New York City, like you should. But things are still a little bit weird. He's still pining for the life that he left behind, his friends and his love interest, and he just goes into stasis for 4 years, basically. Ignoring other people. His closest relationship at this point is, depending on how you want to look at it, either an acrimonious buddy cop movie with Frank Castle or the phone conversations with a police detective. And now he's starting to have side effects from prolonged social isolation and depression and all that fun stuff. They spend a chunk of this movie teasing us with the Man Spider story. To try it because Scorpion is being transported to prison. He doesn't actually get to prison. Scorpion winds up possessed by this nefarious figure. I'll jump ahead of this so I can just make this easier. It's Jean Grey. She's the one who is possessing people like this. He goes to talk with Yelena for some reason because someone at Marvel is just like, we must make Yelena a thing. Still. So, and that kind of points him in a few different directions. He tries to chase that down, but Jean is able to figure out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker because the plot says so. And in the midst of, and then is like, oh, and MJ goes to hang out with Frank in his booby-trapped dry dock tugboat. Because if nothing else, Frank Castle is a fairly trustworthy protector of the totally innocent. If nothing else. So Spider-Man's like, hey, look, this is a completely innocent girl. Please make sure nothing bad happens to her. And Frank goes, yeah, all right, you want chili? And then proceeds to curse at them all for a while. arachnid DNA is starting to overtake the human DNA, and he's developed a genetic inhibitor. But this could be used to inhibit all powers because he develops a universal one. And ooh, scary. And Mark Ruffalo with the world's worst line reading about, no, but who decides maybe something that's being expressed is good. I'm just, shut up, Mark. So he's able to eventually he gets the inhibitor onto Jean Grey. She is taken into custody by damage control. He sort of reconnects as Spider-Man with MJ and Ned. MJ reads the old letter that he had. He just never got rid of it after 4 years. So she read it and is like, I don't remember you. I can't possibly care about you the same way you seem to care about this person you lived with. I'm sorry. But he kind of reconnects with them because he's desperate for human connection and, fair enough. But in the course of talking with them, he kind of realizes, wait a minute. That very nice director of a powerful government organization lied to me. Whatever will I do? So he finds out that what's been going on is Damage Control are the bad guys, to the shock of no one. They had kidnapped Jean's sister, who is not quite as powerful a telepath as Jean is, and had experimented on her and have eventually killed her, is what we find out. They try to do the same sort of experimentation with Jean. Spider-Man is like, wow, misread that one, got to go do something about it. So he tries to show up to help, and Jean, realizing that her sister died horribly in that same room that she's being held in, goes a little bit crazy, and her powers manifest in a giant psychic bubble that freezes everyone within it. Not everything, only everyone, so that's going to be a messy cleanup. And so Peter goes to save her. He fights with the hand again because, of course, he does. We have ninjas. We must have another fight with the hand. He finally makes peace with his growing powers and has his moment of, realization and whatever. Beats them and goes to talk with Jean. He says, and Jean is threatening to kill a dude, and Frank Castle has called him by this point and said, look, man, this is not good. None of this is good. If this can't get resolved in the very near future, I'm going to have to just kill her. Because what the hell else are we going to do? So Frank posts up on a rooftop with the world's biggest sniper rifle and lines up a shot. Peter goes in to talk with her and goes, but you don't understand. I know they're not really your kids. You fabricated them out of your mind with you in the vision. Oh, wait, sorry, other movie. Look, I know bad things happen to you. They happen to all of us. It's important to get over that and to not turn into, terrible people who have nice construction workers walk into oncoming traffic and die horribly in front of onlookers. Or
he was elderly, and there's 8 billion people on the planet. Does it really matter? Keep going.
Or,
don't answer me.
Mind control a nice young woman and then using her like a meat puppet, turn her into an object of sexual fetishization for the purpose of enemy manipulation, then throw her off a building.
Would you like to review the movie when it's your turn?
Peter says all of this is okay. You have to get past all the bad stuff that happens to you, and I'll still be your friend because high school level writing. And Jean sort of makes peace with some of the bad stuff that's happened to her, and then Frank shoots at them, but Spider-Man, being Spider-Man, realizes what's coming, steps in front of it, and miraculously Peter Parker, a normal-sized human being, stops this 50 caliber armor-piercing round. Stops it dead in its tracks. He almost dies. Jean uses her to quote Frank voodoo bullshit to keep him from dying while Frank takes him to the hospital. Jean rides off on a bus to go mind rape other people until a nice old bald man in a wheelchair meets her at some point in the indeterminate future. Peter survives. Frank gets to put on the Spider-Man mask, and one of the genuinely funniest moments of the movie is John Bernthal as Frank Castle standing in front of in the Spider-Man mask, distracting people while unmasked Peter Parker walks out through a crowd. Peter then finds Ned at a random bodega, flower shop. They do their special secret handshake, and Ned goes, "Oh, Peter," and then that's it. Then in our post-credits stinger, see, Ned created a Spider-Man tracker app, and the post-credit stinger is just that thing flashing, showing Spider-Man in space again.
Ben, thank you for waiting for Robert's plot synopsis. Would you like to review the movie now? Off of mute. There it is.
Would I like to review the movie?
Would you like to review the movie? Now that it is your turn to do so.
I'm sorry, can we turn off the comments on Ben's face? My ADHD is going haywire looking at that.
I'm trying to lean this way so that it doesn't like.
You got yeah.
Thank you. I don't know. Do you guys want to give me a couple of hours? I can go and watch a lot of really bad movies and come back a lot more cynical than I am right now. Because,
Hey, what the hell?
I wish you'd learn your lessons instead. Go ahead, Ben. I was just messing with Alexis' box.
Okay.
She made a comment about how I want to do my show, and so now I want to mess with her, like Bugs Bunny to Daffy Duck. But please continue.
Yeah. Where do I start?
Preferably with your opinions.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. I had a couple of things going in that I was hoping to see. I think it checked off a lot of the boxes that I was hoping it would check off. As a Spider-Man fan, as a Marvel fan, as a fan of the past few movies that have come out. There were callbacks to all kinds of things. There were callbacks to comics. There were callbacks to previous movies. Some of them were more subtle than others. There's a lot of Spider-Man 2 DNA in this movie, particularly in the way that Tom Holland kind of plays Peter and Spider-Man kind of at odds with each other, and him at odds with his own kind of splitting the difference between the two. It didn't retread it completely. It was in the context of a couple of new conflicts, which I really liked. I think acting wise, I think the whole cast has kind of come a long way from being literal kids when this all started, and they got a little bit more to sink their teeth into this time. I think they kind of rose to the occasion. They've all got great chemistry, and they can kind of do this thing in their sleep at this point. And it was a nice surprise how much chemistry Tom Holland and John Bernthal had together. Mm-hmm. Some of the highlights of the whole movie were Spider-Man and Punisher just kind of snarking at each other.
Say that scene in when he's dropping off MJ and then just going back and forth like a bitter old married couple. I didn't even catch half of what either was saying. I just couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah. It was, I was really entertained by that. It kind of flew by for me because I was just kind of give me more. This is exactly the kind of Spider-Man story that I wanted. I think a couple of people even before I saw the movie, they were calling it Marvel Team Up, the movie. And I very much agree with that. If you've ever read any of the old Marvel Team Up comics, it's usually Spider-Man and blank. So this was that. This was a lot of that. It was, Spider-Man was the central character, but it gave in this case, the Punisher, it gave him a lot of spotlight, and even, not as much Hulk as I would have wanted, but, I think they kind of made the most of what they had to work with.
Okay, Alexis.
Like Ben said, there were a lot of homages to classic Spider-Man imagery. There were so many shots that were taken from classic comic book covers, especially during I don't want to call it a montage, but the scene of him fight. The scene of him fighting the villains in the beginning, Scorpion, Tombstone, Boomerang, Tarantula, those were all modeled after, iconic book covers. And I loved seeing things like that. I always get a kick out of seeing a superhero film where it's so clear that the director loves the source material and is really trying to do their best to give the fans what they want. And you can tell that Creston, who had previously done Shang-Chi and was I think the showrunner for Wonder Man, is a huge fan of the source material, really pushed it. I'm definitely with Ben on the interactions between Holland and Berthenol. Their chemistry carried this movie. Apparently, the two actors are real life friends, and it really shows. They just were having so much fun, bickering back and forth. They got the scene in Damage Control, and Banner hulks out, and they're trying to figure out. It's like, oh my god, are you just trying to avoid fighting the Hulk? Okay, great scene. It's funny. I had heard so many theories that Sadie Sink was going to play Jean Grey because, she's got red hair and there's only like two main redheads in the whole, Marvel universe, and she's obviously not Mary Jane Watson. So
this was the world's worst kept secret in the entertainment landscape.
Well, worst kept is still Talia al Ghul, but that's neither here nor there. But the theater still, the gasp when they revealed Jean's name was huge.
Yes, not everybody lives on the internet, believe it or not. People were genuinely surprised.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't think it was going to be Jean Grey because I thought it was too obvious. But seeing the name, I was like, well, holy shit, this is why I'm not on, Polymarket. I really did enjoy Sadie Sink as Jean. I thought she was a great actor. I loved her in Stranger Things, so loved her as Jean. And what I was trying to say earlier is I love in Spider-Man 2 and in pre-Spider-Man incarnations, it's always been Peter cannot balance Spider-Man and Peter Parker because he wants too much to be Peter Parker. This was familiar territory, but new ground at the same time because now it's no, he's given up completely on being Peter Parker. He's too much as Spider-Man. And I liked seeing that. I liked seeing it's like, no, you don't have to do this alone. You have friends. You're a human being. I did love seeing, I can't remember her name, but she was the actress from The Bear who played the police detective, DeWolf. Again, those who read the comics, you hear the name and you actually go, oh shit, this woman's going to play a very important part in Spider-Man's life later on. And that post-credit scene, it took me a while to figure out that, but then again, I remembered Secret Wars and I thought, oh crap, is that what they're building up to? So I've got my theories on where they're going with that, and I'm very intrigued. But either way, this was a real, I don't want to call it a return to form because it was something new, but it was great. This is the kind of Marvel movie that the fans have been wanting. It was so well done. I loved every part of it. I love the action scenes and how well they were. I love all the point of view camera work that they did, showing Spider-Man flipping and flying. The point of views of him swinging. I'm not going to lie. I saw this and then I thought, God, I should have seen this in freaking 3D. This would have looked amazing. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and yeah, it's right now in my top 5 of 2026.
I like this movie a lot. I said to my kids when it was over, just my sort of immediate knee-jerk reaction, not my craft opinion. 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, which they know what that means now. And yeah, I'd no.
Given Meltzer has committed to inflation very hard. At this point, you have to say 6 stars.
Thanks.
See, Ben got the joke.
So, anyway, I was really on the edge of my seat for this movie. There's a handful that I've sat up and watched and was very drawn in by. Did not lose me midway through. Did I fall asleep during or at the beginning of? Or was all right, get on with this already. This is we talk a lot about movies needing to be events now because it's going to take a lot of gravitational pull to get people to come out of their houses to go see a movie. This is the kind of movie I'm talking about. You don't need it. It also doesn't need to be blue lasers in the sky, 57 different characters, and an Earth blowing up, and a partridge in a pear tree. You can have
December.
You can have a grounded, earthbound, human relationships combined with male power fantasy kind of movie, and it be broad, sweeping, epic, be all the things that make a movie an event. I think it largely achieved all of that. You can nitpick at some of the, and certainly this isn't quite getting the Angry Boy reaction, but I've heard the Drinkers review on it. I've heard Gary's review, and they had their picks, nits and all. And certainly Robert's going to have his too. But I think if you take a large step back and look at it as a whole, it's the kind of perfect movie to bring in the kind of audience that it did, and that's supported by the numbers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What can I say that hasn't already been said about Tom Holland? He knows the character, he knows the part, he plays it well. It was nice to see Spider-Man involved in a Spider-Man story for once, because he hasn't been in the entirety of the MCU Spider-Man. Ben knows what I'm talking about. This felt like a comic book storyline, including the characters in it. Because Marvel had a tendency where Spider-Man has a mystery he has to solve. It's something scientific, so he goes and talks to Reed Richards. It's something over here, so he goes and talks to this person. Oh, look, Daredevil's also in the city. And so there's a lot of that. I read Amazing, Spectacular, Web of, and Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. I'm not going to go punch for punch with Ben on who's a bigger Spider-Man fan, but I've read my fair share. And this was that kind of Spider-Man comic book story from beginning to end. The world felt lived in. The characters obviously felt familiar. So they were able to do a little bit more because you didn't have to do so much introduction. I also liked Spider-Man and Punisher. They had a very comedic banter going back and forth between them. It felt very human. It also felt like two sides of an argument arguing with each other. Spider-Man's like, hey, every life is precious. Punisher's like, really? Not in the life I've lived. And that's informing their decision making. So that all felt pretty consistent. I've come to the conclusion Mark Ruffalo sucks. Took me a while to get there.
We've been here for a while, Mark. I'm glad you finally...
Everywhere Robert goes, I follow. It just takes me a decade or so. I'm very slow. I'm a turtle. I was
going to say, didn't we go over this when we reviewed Poor Things years ago?
So Mark Ruffalo, there's a part of me that wants to argue he's not Bruce Banner from the comics, and there's a part of me that just says he just sucks. His character's awful. The guy who's like the biggest fan of the Hulk hates the Hulk in the Marvel movies at this point. Like I'm so tired of Mark Ruffalo and the way he thinks this character should be played, and the way directors let him play that character. It just drives me right up the wall. At this point, because of everything that's happened to the Hulk in these movies, I didn't care whether he was in the movie or not. And when I saw him, I was like, oh, that's fun. It's like, like looking at a yearbook. And that's about how long it lasted, as Robert said. The only part of that was Peter doing, I'm your friend, remember me. Hulk's like, oh, shit, yeah, oops. And then falls off a building. And,
they completely missed an opportunity to actually reference a really great moment between Hulk and Peter.
Oh, the Banner forgot Hulk didn't. Yeah. A lot of fans were predicting that. They actually thought we were going to get that moment.
Right.
Would have been nice.
I want to talk...
like Hulk never forgot Sentry. There's a long-standing tradition in Marvel Comics of all memory-related stuff just kind of bouncing off the Hulk.
I want to talk about Sadie Sink. I like her casting for some weird reasons. One, we've been complaining for what seems like forever about diminutive women playing girls that can throw men around a room. And they picked a diminutive girl, but she didn't have to physically throw men around the room like Florence Pugh, who I know Robert religiously now objects to her being in these movies, but I don't know, she's funny. She made me laugh. The bit with her and Peter in the bathhouse made me laugh. I'll allow it. Could you have removed it and changed nothing about the movie? Sure, but I only have so much strength to fight so much in these movies.
That's not actually my biggest objection to that scene. Don't get me wrong. I object to Yelena being there because
that's everyone else's objection to her.
My objection to that sequence is the god-awful compositing of that mask on Tom Holland's head. It's not centered on his shoulders. This is a
anyway. Anyway, Jesus Christ, I can't get through a thought. So, the Florence Pugh Spider-Man stuff didn't bother me. I think Florence Pugh is funny. But they always have, but she's 3 feet tall and she throws men 7 feet tall around a room half the time. And everyone gets irritated by this. They didn't have to do that with her because all she does is mind stuff, which is fine. It was hard for me. I know a lot of people are comparing her to Scarlet Witch. They're comparing her from WandaVision. They're comparing her to Diana from Wonder Woman 84. There's a third
Wonder
one.
Woman 84 comparison doesn't track for me, for the record.
It does for a lot of people, and they made many videos about it. I would tell you that in at least those two cases, and I can't remember the third one they cited, but those two cases especially, we were dealing with grown-ass women. And I don't want to go into a whole long thing. I'll talk about it later.
Tune into Mark's TikTok like WCW Thunder to see the end of the pay-per-view.
There you go.
We're out of time.
But what side is he on? But I will say this. What we know about the kid, and I'm not comparing her to Jean Grey in the comics. I don't think it's a fair comparison. So the character that they presented on screen that they slapped the name Jean Grey on, is this orphaned kid who then has her sister kidnapped in broad daylight. I don't know if you know many kids, but they don't always know what they're doing, and they're full of hormones. And then you gave a kid who's orphaned, traumatized, full of hormones, also psionic powers. Yeah, she's going to do terrible shit with them. I mean,
And thus we see Mark here is making the argument for the Sentinel program. Mark, we appreciate you and we'll pass your bill.
Believe me, the more people... Never mind. Ronnie's already upset with me for losing my temper with you three, so I'm going to keep my jokes to myself. But my point is, did I like everything that she did, and do I think she should be completely absolved of it? No, but I don't think the movie does either. I think Peter doing a better job with her than what they tried to do with the Thunderbolts a year ago. Trying to reason with this person who's clearly, gone off the deep end, some would say for good reason, and her trying to, in the immediate moment, make amends when she keeps Peter alive with, Jamaican voodoo magic. I'm fine with it. Robert's going to come to the podium and give you the prosecution for this idea, but I feel like they, in that moment, created enough to where you can conceivably let this go. Yes, she did horrible things. He reasons with her. They have a moment. She's like, okay, I get it. I did a bad thing. And then Peter is immediately shot, so there's no time to deal with it after that. Now she's dealing with the immediate problem of dead Peter. So she's working on that. They get him to the hospital, and she's like, I'm going to try, presumably, this was my inference from the bus ride, is I guess I'm going to try to be a better person now and not do the terrible mind rapey, killing people shit I was doing.
She's going to go to upstate New York and find whoever they decide to cast as Xavier.
Find the rest of the murderers.
Hang on.
That's
then
what I
every...
said.
She's going to win. She's going to be one of the few people left over in Battle Wars. Expressly for the purpose of pairing up her with 60-year-old Hugh Jackman so Deadpool can look at the screen and make a stupid Epstein joke.
So anyway, my point being that for everyone arguing that she's no better than Scarlet Witch and she's no better than Diana, and the writers keep doing the same thing, while I can see from the sky that it's kind of an apples to apples comparison, I think as you get closer, it's apples to oranges. I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think it's the same female with lived life experience, and I think the films handled it better. Wanda, they just absolved. They just like, oh, well, they'll never know what you sacrificed. Ugh. We all hate that line, and it absolved Wanda unnecessarily. With Diana, the film just didn't deal with it at all. I think here the film does deal with it, but it creates kind of a clamshell around it. So it was like, well, let's deal with the immediate thing here, and and hope Jean does better in the future. So none of that stuff bothered me, and I thought my only issue with her performance is the film kind of does a bait and switch, and I don't think that's the actress's fault. I think, and most of the time, it wasn't even the actress. They have her doing evil villains like behavior, like jumping from person to person, saying, "Hey, I'm going to check in on MJ." All right, now you're being an evil villain, and then you finally find out who she is, and she doesn't do evil villain stuff anymore. Now she's just an angry kid. All right, well, which one is it? That's like my only major gripe with how they handled Jean Grey was she's kingpin when you want her to be, and then she's traumatized child when you don't want her to be, and it's like you can't have it both ways. But it's such a minor thing, in my opinion, given how this goes, that I don't feel the need to make a huge deal about it. Other than that, I didn't really notice anything with the special effects. It looks like a Marvel movie. I enjoyed the fight with the hand at the end of the movie when he's...
How did you and I switch places on that fight? Normally you're the one who says, I don't care about your kung fu fight and get that out of here.
Because it was more about... Because much like Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi, the fight was about something. He's in a fight with himself trying to figure out, am I man or am I spider? And he goes, I'm both. And suddenly he can kick everyone's ass. And it's just short enough, Robert, and this is the key. It's just short enough that it didn't annoy me. Nor, it's just short enough that you get the point across and then we move on to something else. Like, the problem with a lot of fight scenes is that whatever they think they're doing, they've now done it 100 times in a row for an hour and a half. That's the difference. It's not that it was like so stylized or whatever else. It had a narrative point. Narrative point was made. We moved into the next bit. Perfect. All right, I'm going to take a breath so that you can tell me I'm wrong about everything I said about Jean Grey.
Let me get to my other stuff first. So, welcome everyone to Spider-Man brand management.
I was going to say, is this the point where I should get my book out?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can I tell you the movie this reminded me of the most? And the more you've talked about it, the more I think I'm right about this.
Sure. What movie?
The Force Awakens.
Defend.
What's The Force Awakens, Mark? What was your stance on it when it came out and everybody said, boy, this is just a carbon copy of a previous movie? What was your...
Soft reboot of of A New Hope.
Your defense of that position was this is brand management. The brand has been damaged. They have to get people to trust the brand again.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened to Marvel the last 8 movies?
Okay, so you're not talking about Spider-Man as the brand, because you're the way you phrased your whole opening statement, Esquire, is the brand is Spider-Man, and no one here would believe you if you said the brand Spider-Man brand is damaged, and also the 900 million would disagree with you.
No, not
Spider-Man. You're saying Marvel is the brand. Yeah. Okay, go on.
This is Marvel doing, please come back. We're about to require the biggest movie in human history to break even in just like 4 months.
$2 billion to break even.
And minor side note, but I saw someone, I was watching a few videos on the 90s Street Fighter movie. And somebody in the comments mentioned, man, watching Raul Julia as M. Bison made me really wish he was still alive because that was the Doctor Doom we needed. And I just kind of had to go, damn it, you're right. So this movie is largely about trying to get people to go, okay, the last few years have not been kind to us. Please come back and give us your money again. And in that respect, it succeeds. I think one of my major objections to that is, and this is one of the objections I had to The Force Awakens, like, I'm not interested in your brand management. I'm interested in what you create.
Okay, what part of the movie makes you think this was begging and brand managing? Like, what movie did you watch?
Hang on, this is a larger thing than just about the movie. I'll get to... My gripe here is, and this is maybe an inevitable point we're arriving at. movies are so expensive now. And for a variety of reasons, people only come out for events instead of regular stuff. That studios wind up chasing spreadsheet results instead of art.
Sure.
And I object to this.
Mm-hmm.
Part of we talk about the money here because I think it's an important component. I think people who get just stuck in the I liked it, I didn't like it, miss a giant component of what goes on in the movie industry because it is a business. But if you go too far down that direction, all you get is porn. You get a series of dopamine hits, culminating in nothing.
Robert, I know you're getting to it, but get to it faster, because at no point so far have you explained to me what they did in this movie was patronizing, which is essentially your argument.
I wouldn't say it's patronizing so much as shallow, hollow, pointless. This is fluff.
Okay.
And so I have a general aversion to that at this point to begin with. As far as this movie in particular, I don't disagree with you about the acting. Tom Holland is, he can do this kind of in his sleep and frequently looks like he's doing it in his sleep. Zendaya still sucks. Mark Ruffalo still sucks.
I apologize. I actually think this is Zendaya's best performance I've ever seen her in, and I don't watch Euphoria, so I couldn't tell you if that is. But I've seen her in these movies, I've seen her in Dune, and I've seen her in Challengers, and I've seen her in a couple of other things, and I honestly think, by far and away, this movie was Zendaya's best performance in her entire career. Keep going.
That's the tallest midget argument, but I accept it.
Mm.
Because you've seen more of her work than I have.
Sure have.
Yeah, Tom Holland and Jon Bernthal are great together. I think part of the problem with this movie that I have with this movie, it's very scattershot in its narrative focus. It teases about 3 different movies throughout the course of it. It teases more of a Punisher team up, which is fine and great when we're doing that, but we only do that for this segment and this segment and this segment and this segment. And then in between that, here's Man-Spider. Here's introduction of mutants. Mutants. Here's Peter once again learning not to trust the government. And next movie he'll have an eye patch and be a libertarian. I don't know. You just wind up teasing several other concepts and narratives that are on whole not only more cohesive but probably more entertaining than what we get here when it's all said and done. The action is fine. I think this is a different gripe. Because the last trailer for this movie, not a leak, not a spoiler, the last trailer for this movie gave away the climax to pretty much every action sequence in it. So if you watched the last trailer, which they blasted everywhere, if you recognize any given set, you know how it's going to end. Oh, we're on the street fighting Scorpion. Oh, so his eyes are going to go black. He's going to beat him with his own tail. Because that's in the trailer. You gave that away for free. He's fighting the ninjas in the prison system. Oh, he's going to go upside down and spin around and shoot out a bunch of webs and catch them all. Because it's in the trailer. There's no tension anymore. Again, this is not something that someone leaked. This is not secret stuff. You put this out there for consumption to basically cut the teeth out of any climax of any action sequence that you have in your movie. I don't know who's responsible for this, but you should be fired. Yeah, the Jean stuff. I have to approach this from a very specific angle, because if you'll recall when we talked about WandaVision, our major gripe was, again, the ending of that is terrible. It's just awful. My problem with that, and the more I've thought about this, it goes as follows. I don't care that Monica Rambeau's an idiot and says that to Wanda, no, you were the hero of your own story. Monica Rambeau's allowed to be an idiot. I care that she's supposed to be speaking for the audience. This is what the audience is supposed to feel. This is the point your whole movie is trying to get across. A stupid character making a stupid statement is one thing. I can live with that. They do it all the time. We do it all the time in real life. But a stupid character making a stupid statement that is clearly the thesis of the film and the emotional climax and the emotional point you're supposed to get to as an audience, you're now calling me stupid. You're asking me to forget everything I just watched, everything I just paid money and devoted my time and energy to paying attention to, in favor of your conclusion. And I find this insulting, to be quite honest. I don't care that I'm kind of with Mark. Like, I'm not going to argue whether or not this is a good adaptation of the Jean Grey character from the source material. I'm not going to bark up that tree at this particular point in time. It's a pointless argument. This is their version of that character. Whether it bears anything other than a name relation to any other iteration is immaterial. You present to me a character who kills people, innocent people, for no good reason, in the course of something that we're given no context for until much later, for no reason, by the way. There is no reason whatsoever that Jean Grey for Jean Grey not to simply enumerate to Spider-Man what she's doing. There's plenty of other people I get why she wouldn't say it to.
All right,
but
this argument, kind of what I was saying before, this is where you and I are on the same page. What's happening, this isn't hard, Ronnie. What's happening is, again, they make her super duper evil gal when they need a super duper evil gal, Mysterious, to be in the movie. And as Robert was just saying, there's no reason for her not to tell Spider-Man, I'm looking for my sister. Like, that's a real problem with the writing of this, which I'm willing to overlook for every other reason I named, but Robert's making a big deal about it, so we're going to make a big deal about it because Robert's opinion is valid. This is a huge writing problem with this movie. I'm going to help you with this. But there's a huge writing problem with this movie, is that the writing of this movie makes contrivances in order to move the plot forward instead of figuring out what's a better way to do this, and that is a big problem throughout most of Hollywood writing. Tag back in, Jim.
Yeah, it is.
I'm Brett.
Okay. So how do you feel about Goldberg, Brett?
Well, that's a house of us. The screw job.
I only ask because I know he's your favorite wrestler. Anyway. So that's a problem. And I'm okay with... Here's the other thing. I'm okay with Jean. You want to do a villainous version of Jean Grey? Knock yourselves out. But don't get to the end of that and then tell me she's not a villain. Don't get to the end of that and I'm supposed to be rooting for her. Like, no. I watched what happened. You showed it to me. You asked me for my money and my time about this. So I watched and I paid attention. Unless all you want is goldfish who only care about what happened in the last 5 minutes. In which case, make TikToks. That's not a shot at you, Mark. That's a attention span thing.
I'm Spider-Man. I just jumped in front of the bullet.
Yo, God, that pissed me off so much. And it is fundamentally the same problem that we had with WandaVision. Here's this character doing bad things. And we're supposed to, at the end of this, go, but it's okay because they learned a lesson.
Okay. I think that point has been made. What else do you have a problem with?
We have now disposed of the Hulk purely because the Russo brothers don't know what to do with him for the next 2 Avengers movies. Again, the shoehorning in of Yelena Belova is annoying me at this point. I know why they're doing it. I really do, and it's sad. It's really actually sad.
Because she's the fucking new movie's Captain America or Iron Man, whichever label you want to throw on her. That's what she is. And
no.
at this point, I don't have the strength. I know you do. You seem to want to fight that you seem to want to tilt at that particular windmill.
A little.
Whatever, man. Everyone needs a hobby.
Look, my argument just goes like this. There's a bunch of people complaining, in some cases with good reason, that because Yelena has been sprinkled throughout like 2 of the last 3 movies and 4 of the last 5 TV shows. is kind of what she's been doing. And the point, I think correctly made, is if you want people to care about these other characters, you have to put them in there. Is there any reason this was Yelena instead of Sam Wilson, who desperately needs the boost, by the way, as both visibility and credibility wise?
I don't know if everyone wants to see a naked Sam Wilson in the bath with Peter.
Mark, you would like that more than Florence Pugh at this point, I'm fairly sure.
Go on.
So we're shoehorning her in here, mostly because, and this is the cynical part of it, Mark, which famous Avenger is not coming back for our big nostalgia tour?
Robert, we don't have time for this. Keep going.
They're never bringing back Scarlett Johansson because she sued them.
Right.
So we don't need to try and force new Captain America, because we're getting Steve Rogers back. We don't need to force any of these other characters, because we don't need to force a new Iron Man replacement, because we're actually getting Robert Downey Jr. That's close enough, right? We still want a Black Widow, but we can't get Scarlett Johansson back because, again, she sued Disney, and that gets you blacklisted. So here's Yelena, and you're going to take Yelena until you like her or you stop watching. And I lived through the 2016 Roman Reigns push. I don't need this shit again. I really don't.
Next.
So Yelena's stuff here is pointless. Could have been anyone. We wasted the Hulk. You finally get to a point where we're going to do another Hulk goes crazy moment. Okay, that's cool. That's overdue, frankly. But the Hulk has been so nerfed and so power scaled into irrelevancy by the MCU that nothing comes of it. So again, I'm stuck left asking why. You're spending time and money on this to make it. Why Bruce Banner? Why the Hulk at all?
I know you're being rhetorical, but you know the answer to that.
Sure, because we need more team-ups and we have to write him off, so no one asks where's Hulk when all the heroes get pulled together for Doomsday.
Well, no, the more obvious reason is they can only use the Hulk in team-up movies, so they have to find other movies to put him in.
I'm aware of that too, but
but that's the only answer that matters. He's in this because it's the only movie coming out this year, and they had to shove the Hulk somewhere.
He could have been in Doomsday, but he's not, because the Russo brothers don't know what to do with the Hulk. So the Hulk doesn't need to be here. Could have been anyone.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You did the first 5 to 10 minutes of your filibuster. You were like, "This is brand management," and your supporting evidence for its brand management was, "This is just fluff. It's not about anything." Are you ever going to acknowledge the fact that a lot of this is about Peter trying to figure out how to move on with his life after he's lost everybody?
Oh no, you mean another Spider-Man movie where Peter Parker's in conflict with the Spider-Man?
Okay, either acknowledge it or don't, but don't say it isn't there.
It's there, but who cares? We've seen it in every other Spider-Man movie.
A lot of people. I hate to tell you this one.
Look,
hang on. The amount you dismissing the zillions of people and you dismissing the zillions of people relating to this movie is a very Robert Winfrey thing.
I dismiss the zillions of people who like The Force Awakens too.
No, but again, that's not people relating to it on a human experience of things they have lived life experience that they saw on screen reflected back at them. Which, if you want to attack that as a psychological idea, sure, maybe another time, but you just dismiss it outright. Or you don't know it's there. I'm not entirely sure. But that's the thing with this movie. To me, what made it great, and what I think what made it great for Alexis, what I think what made it great for Ben, and what made it great for the millions and millions of people making TikToks about this, is they saw themselves in Peter and were like, oh my God, that's me. I don't know how to get on with my life either after the people who I once loved left me. Or I was removed forcibly from them. And that's half the movie.
Apparently the answer is stalk them until they remember you.
My point, Robert, is I'm willing to listen to your craft criticisms, but where you started with this holds no weight. You were dismissing an entirely human element of this movie as if it's not there, and it is. You may not like it, or it may not relate to you personally, which is perfectly fine. But
The-
you
the-
can't. But
the
you can't say
supreme
it's not
irony-
there.
The supreme irony being I'm the one this should have related to, and yet.
Some of us relate to Spider-Man, other of us to the Banshees of Inisherin. I don't. It is what it is.
Okay, so if you look, I think that's my other gripe with this is for a movie that's supposed to be about brand new, Peter just being stuck in orbit of himself from 4 years ago. We don't introduce new characters, apart from Jean. We don't introduce new themes. We've seen this before. We don't do anything new. This isn't new. It's literally in the title of your movie, unless you're deliberately being ironic. And at a certain point, man, I'm not saying being left by the woman you love is easy or having to give that up is easy, but it's been 4 years. At a certain point, you're doing this to yourself.
Maybe, but have you talked to somebody who never got over their first love? It's a treat, let me tell you. Ben, would you like to respond to anything Robert said?
Maybe a few things. Let me see what I can get call back from this. As far as the as far as Peter's kind of arc in this movie, it kind of, I mean, yeah, there were 90 new characters. It went over, it reintroduced the characters that he left behind, but you gotta, like, in the context of the movie, it wasn't just that he lost everybody. It's also that everybody lost him. That the context of every relationship that he had before what happened in No Way Home was completely destroyed. Like he was left with nobody remembered specifically who he was, what he did, what he sacrificed. And I feel like that might weigh on you a little bit more. It's a dilemma that like nobody would have in real life.
Well, hang on. That's why I interrupt you, because I want to say this. If you've ever been the person in a marriage who after the divorce loses all your friends, like your spouse gets all the friends,
mm-hmm.
You're just alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of that, like, but in a very human way. You see what I'm saying?
I've seen it. Sure.
It fucking happened. Like,
mm-hmm.
Some people have experienced some version of, I had a whole world, and then you removed one person from that world, and I lost my entire world. Which is a lot of what's being said in this movie in the subtext. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, and that's what kind of the movie focuses on. It's not necessarily about, making new friends, making new relationships. It's trying to get to the point where you can do that, and sometimes that can take a long time, particularly in the context of what's happened in this movie, where he's also got like a whole other identity that he's got to sort of contextualize back into his life. He's got kind of traumas that he's working through. He's got and depending on what kind of person you are, depending on the person, it's not that easy to just get over it and move on. Some people don't. It's not that easy to just to just turn it off.
I don't disagree with that. I think I'd be a little bit less harsh on this point if the conclusion was not everyone that used to love you comes back.
But they didn't all come back. MJ, the significance of the scene where MJ says, "I don't love you," is beautiful. Like, a lot of people
if that had been the character's exit from the movie, I would have actually no notes on that. But she's there for the rest of the freaking film.
Okay, but she's doing a different. I love you, Robert, to death. She has a whole other different function in the rest of the movie. In that scene, it is the termination of that relationship, mostly against Peter's will, and like nothing. Once again, it might as well have been Gwen falling from the fucking tower. He can't stop this from happening. So much as he tries. Go ahead, Alexis.
Just like to point out that it's not everyone comes back. Aunt May is still dead. It not only did the woman he loves and his best friend go away, but the only family member he has left is also gone.
Hang on, he lost Tony, Happy, May, whoever his parents were, whoever Uncle Ben was. Okay, he's lost. Now
there is no Uncle Ben.
Whatever. He's lost the rice that he was eating for lunch. He lost it all. He lost what do you call it? He lost Ned. He lost Mary Jane. He lost college. part of the reason why he's diving into Spider-Man is because there is no Peter, and that's the point of the movie, is to bring Peter back from the dead.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying you have to like it, Robert. I'm saying that's what's there.
The other thing I wanted to throw in here, I disagree a little bit about sort of some the things that both of you had said regarding Jean, and you know.
You're only allowed to disagree with Robert. I'm sorry.
Robert, I'm gonna be honest with you.
By all means.
I didn't get, and you know, this is open interpretation, of course. I didn't get so much that Jean was meant to be sympathetic, or we're meant to empathize, or we're meant to root for her by the end of the movie. I think she's playing a relatively sympathetic villain. She's still she's still doing villain stuff. She's still, you know, accountable for the things that she did, in as much as she's accountable to herself. She gets to walk away from all of this, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's kind of, you know, in her own sort of arc, she's in a different place than when it started. What that leads to, of course, that's going to go into, they're doing a new X-Men movie, that's going to lead into other things. Of course, that's not all there is to it. But I don't think we're left at the end to just say, like, you know, oh, she's absolved of all of this stuff. It's just more like, you know, she's somebody that did horrible things because horrible things were done to her, like hurt people, you know.
I think I did say all that, so I'm not sure what you disagree with me for.
Okay.
I will say,
maybe I have more disagreement with Robert.
Okay.
I think that this movie also did a fun job building up for the mutant saga that we're going to get with the MCU now that they finally own the rights to X-Men. I have theories. I believe, since the head of the DOG was Mesker, who in the comic books was a serious anti-mutant.
This is fun. Alexis and Ronnie agree, and making the same exact point at the same exact time.
Thank you, Ronnie.
I mean, in fairness, if you're going to set up mutant hatred, then giant psychic bomb goes off in the middle of New York, makes it very justifiable.
Alexis, go ahead and wrap up your point.
I was saying, Mesker in the comic books is very anti-mutant. I think that he's moved because the DOG has been built up as the bad guy in multiple Marvel properties, starting with the first Spider-Man movie and moving through Ms. Marvel and the like. I think it's going to turn into the Mutant Control Agency, and I think the inhibitor chips that Spider-Man got, which they still have the technology for, is going to turn into the mutant control collars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to do. That's good. That's perfect. Everything you said is great. I don't want to do any more speculation on what other movies are going to do. All right. Does anyone have anything else to say about the movie we're talking about? Because if not, we're going to move on to the money.
I got
ahead,
two more things real quick.
Okay.
For a movie that allegedly wants to touch on, again, like the rewiring of DNA and the suppression of powers and all that, it actually does a very poor job somewhat tackling the issue at hand. You get one pseudo speech from Mark Ruffalo, and that's it. And otherwise, it's just, oh, Peter came up with this thing. Isn't that cool? And I find that...
You don't think it gives the implication enough weight?
It's not the... If you want to leave the audience to put together that, oh, this could be used for an entire class of human being born differently. If you want to leave that implication up to the audience, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm significantly less okay with the movie being glib about its existence in the first place. Ditto his surveillance system, by the way. Which...
Might have been nice if maybe they had her in a collar that was made from Peter's thing. If the movie had made time for it, and Peter looks and sees, oh no, what have I wrought?
Something like that, yeah. Like, you're dealing with something real big there. Like, messing with genetics is like the power of the building blocks of life. I mean, I could insert Jeff Goldblum's speech from Jurassic Park here, because it's the same thing. Like, this is the most incredible power human beings have ever had, and Peter's messing around with it like a toddler who found a gun. And it's just not given weight. And that's my, like, similar scene from another superhero movie, but when Batman creates the world's single most illegal mass surveillance system in the world in The Dark Knight, that gets weight. That
So
gets
to answer Ronnie's thing, didn't Banner say that at the university? Robert's acknowledging that. Robert's saying there wasn't enough of what Banner was talking about throughout the movie, or even in that one scene.
and it doesn't help that Mark Ruffalo looked like he was delivering line reading at gunpoint,
Or at a separate stage from Peter.
which that he probably was.
Hmm.
So again, point being, like whenever you get one of these circumstances where a hero has to go beyond the bounds of normal ethics to achieve something tremendous by just trampling all over everything, I'm okay with you want to do that, but treat that with some weight, treat that with some seriousness, treat that with something other than, well, here's a fun thing they did. I mean, again, The Dark Knight ends with Morgan Freeman blowing it up because Bruce built that in because he didn't trust himself. But the lead up to that actually does treat the wild infringement on everyone else's rights, privacy, and personality with the seriousness that it deserves. Here, you've got a more first of all, you got a more invasive process that Peter's tapping into because for his surveillance systems, because we're aping a video game basically. And then again, you have him like playing God with a chip on the back of the neck, and the movie treats it with frivolity, and that doesn't sit right with me.
What's the other point?
That was mostly that. It was those two things.
Those were two things? Okay. Ben, you get the final word here, and then we're going to get out of here.
All right, I'm gonna swing another hammer at the cynicism a little bit here.
Oh boy.
Let's see.
I'm just glad
Like
it's not just me who's doing that this time. I'm happy for the support. Thank you, Ben.
My shoulders are killing me.
There are three people who like the movie, Alexis. You're always the victim. Go ahead, Pete. Who are you? Benjamin.
Okay. Now we're even, Mark. Anyway. Yeah, like I said earlier, there's a lot of the same, in a good way, kind of the same DNA that from like Spider-Man 2, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, not in a derivative way necessarily, but like the one thing that got me and the one thing that really like, kind of tugged at my heartstrings in this movie was the villain, or not necessarily the villain, but like the major threat of the movie was defeated in a similar way that in Spider-Man 2, which is I always said, like, at the end of Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus was not beaten by Spider-Man. He was beaten by Peter. He was beaten by Peter and his, his lessons and the things that he's learned. And this Jean was kind of like, convinced to, stand down in a similar way by kind of looking into Peter's mind and taking in, like, the lessons that he was taught, that, it's not always going to be easy, but you are, you are loved not because of what you can do, but because of who you are, and you can be loved because of who you are, and you are not, you're not the monster that you think you are, or you don't have to be limited to being the monster that you think you are. And I felt like it did a similar thing, but in a slightly different, in a different enough way that it still felt like Spider-Man, but it also felt like, what somebody who had progressed as much as Tom Holland's version of Peter would do and how he would handle it. And, I know, him taking the bullet at the end, Robert, you're not crazy about. I can get into the whole thing of, how dense Peter's musculature is. That's a power scaling, very nerdy type of thing that I could get into. I don't want to do that with you. I don't want to get into that whole thing.
With almost any other gun, I'd have been okay with it. But that's like what Frank pulls out there is like the biggest 50 caliber you can.
Yeah, I've seen a very similar gun being fired before, to that being fired before. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, like you. For those of you who don't know, you shoot people through walls with that thing.
Yeah.
That weapon system is designed to punch out engine blocks in armored vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, that aside, I mean, the gesture, like the act of the kind of self-sacrifice, like he was willing to die to save a life. On that level, putting aside the the technical issues of it, like that's what Spider-Man always has been and always will be to me, is like somebody who's willing to take a bullet even for the bad guy, even for somebody who's done horrible things, because he will always try to save a life instead of seeing anybody die. So on that level,
I'll say he follows the example of Captain America and Iron Man. Captain America fell on the grenade. Iron Man did the snap.
Yeah. On that level, like, I feel like this was one of the most Spider-Man movies that I've seen, and that got me in the end. So I mean, it some of the emotional beats like that make up for me for a lot of like the little technical inconsistencies, maybe some of the character inconsistencies. Maybe I'm not the right person to be making those kind of judgments anyway. Like maybe I'm too close to it. Maybe I'm too, my nostalgia and my love for the character is probably going to win out every time. But I appreciated where it went. Yeah, I appreciated where it went with it, and I appreciated how much they were willing to incorporate like that aspect of him, and really throughout the MCU, because like your criticisms aside in No Way Home aside, a lot of the driving force behind No Way Home was the whole thing of like Peter going out of his way to not have to kill anybody, and where that took things, and this was like a good continuation of that. And that's all I'm saying.
All right. With that said, here comes the money, finally. Where are we? Oops, I'm in the wrong thing. I forgot how to do my own show. Here we go.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
I don't know if you guys heard, but this movie made a little bit of money.
Did it?
Just a touch.
Yeah, I think it made, at the very least, its box office back. Oh, I got rid of V for Victory. Damn it! I was gonna play that again. Oh well. On a budget of 225 Marvel monies, for real this time, not for play. This thing has made $942 million. So, good God. what records didn't this break?
This thing could have an 80% drop next week and still hit $1 billion.
Yeah. It is a sneeze distance away from breaking into the Billionaires Club. As of August 2nd, 2026, Spider-Man, Mostly a New Day, has crossed 360 million in the US and Canada, and 582 million in other territories. Hey, Ben, I don't know if you know this or not, but not only us Americans, but apparently people around the world love them some Spider-Man. Did you know that, Ben? Did you know she was a dentist?
I had an idea.
Okay. I'm gonna keep running things by you, Ben, because you're gonna, because you know these things. You've got your ear to the ground.
Yeah, but I also got, like Alexis, I also got my book out just in case.
Alrighty.
Nice.
I'm glad everyone's managing their ADHD somewhat well tonight. Its $942 million opening weekend was the second best all-time behind Avengers Endgame. In the US and Canada, the film grossed $72 million from its Wednesday and Thursday preview screening, surpassing the record previously held by Endgame. It went on to gross $169.8 million for its opening day, which included the preview screenings, which also surpassed Endgame's record of $157.4 million. Brand New Day's Saturday gross of $101.5 million was second best all-time to Endgame at $102.9 million, leading to its opening weekend of $360 million. This was the highest. Can you take me higher? Opening weekend gross in the territory, surpassing Endgame. Take a drink every time I say Endgame. You will have a pickled liver. The film's the film's 40X and Screen X grosses were also opening weekend records, with Dolby to Bugs Bunny first base, Bugs Bunny second base, Bugs Bunny catcher. While Dolby, sorry, I had a tick. Its biggest opening weekend and the highest per screen average. Pre-release estimates had the film grossing 260 to 280 million in its opening weekend, with Sony estimating $195 million opening. In France, where the mimes are from, it opened on July 29th, 2026 in 978 theaters and drew 650,000 viewers on its opening day, making it the best opening day for a film at the French box office since Endgame, and these are the people that gave us Reffin. In India, oh boy, the film grossed 10
Reffin
billion.
Dutch.
Maybe, but French. Shut up. In 2
We'll look that up now.
in India, the
made me
film
dizzy.
grossed 10 million in 2 days, surpassing Endgame to become the best opening ever for a Hollywood film in India.
Oh, Danish, not Dutch, but close enough.
Internationally, the film grossed 573 million in its opening weekend, surpassing the pre-release estimates of about 300 million. Pre-sale tickets. Brand New Day had its best first day ticket pre-sales. Yeah, really quick. So I usually buy my tickets now. It's like Sunday morning. I wait usually because no one's going to the movies anymore, so it doesn't really matter how long I wait to buy my tickets. I think I was telling you this with the Odyssey, where I got the Iggy that like tickets are going fast. You better get your Sunday tickets. So I bought them Friday night after Naked Swimming. I'd like to remind everyone that that's what I do. So anyway, it's a Wednesday night. There I am in the bed with the loved one, and I get a phone call from the ex, and the ex says, I understand you're taking the kids back one day for SummerSlam, and this is a thing that you must do, and I understand that you will do it. However, I will need to encroach upon your time on Sunday because the kids need new shoes. School is coming up, and the children must walk in new shoes. Don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And I say, yes, but don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you, crazy woman? Spider-Man is here. We will go to the Spider-Man, and we will see Spider-Man do Spider-Man things. And she says, I understand what you're saying. I've heard you say this for the entire time I was unfortunately married to you, you crazy person. And so what I'm asking you for, sir, is that I borrow a little bit of the children's time. What, do you own the entire 24 period that you're going to be with these children? You don't. Is Spider-Man brand new something or other a 24-hour movie? It is not. So I say once again to you, good sir, I will borrow the children. And I say, fine, I will see an early movie. And I go to purchase tickets to the early movie on a Sunday, this being Wednesday, and every fucking theater is like sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you wanted to sit underneath the screen where there's a sticker that says "Beware of the Leopard."
I got the last 2 seats in my theater.
Yeah. So,
Say, Ron and I wanted to go see a 12:30 show, and we thought, oh, nobody goes to the shows that early. And we walk in, and they're like, no, that's sold out. What about the next show? Sold out. What about the next show? Sold out. When the hell can you get us in?
so I bought an 11:30 Sunday AM show, front row, and my kids, spoiled as they are when it comes to the movies, when I take them to like a regular theater where there's no Dolby, there's no IMAX, they say to me, they say, Father, they call me Father. They say, Father, why must you sit amongst the hoi polloi? Why are we in these regular seats with this regular screen? We cannot enjoy the IMAX the way that we normally do. And I say, well, sorry, Evil Dead Burn was only playing on the shitty screen. I don't know what to tell you. On this particular occasion, spoiled children as they are, they say to me, Father, they called me Father. They said, Father, why are we sitting underneath the fucking screen, Father? Like, it's going to be so... Spider-Man... Tom Holland... This is what they actually said. Tom Holland's chin is so big. How big is it? That's all we're going to see on screen. We're going to be sitting underneath his fucking chin for 2.5 hours. Why would you do this to us, Father? And I said, I didn't do it. It was your mother. Complain to her.
I think I said something similar. One of the
About my ex-wife?
No, the first time I saw the first Avengers movie like 3 times in theaters, and one of the times was under the screen. And I remember thinking, wow, Scarlett Johansson's got a giant nose.
I practically hit her nostrils. This may come as a complete shock to everybody, but Spider-Man Brand New Day was the #1 movie of the weekend. Ben, were you shocked? Ben, are you shocked?
Not at all.
Really? Did you anticipate that Spider-Man might be the #1 movie of the weekend?
Well, I have a lot of crazy ideas, so...
That's what they call you around my neighborhood. Crazy ideas, Ben. Moving right along before Robert has an aneurysm. The
Too
Odyssey
late.
fell from 1 to 2 in its 3rd week. Toy Story 5 went up a notch. Jeez. In its 7th week, went from 4 to 3. Trading places with Minion and Monsters. No, that went up. I take that back.
Moana dropped.
Moana.
That's what-
Thank God.
Off a
So-
cliff.
So Minions and Monsters rose to 4th. Moana dropped 2 to 5. Thank you, everybody, for straightening that out. Hadestown the Musical dropped from 3 to 6. The Invite, which I've heard is good, maintained its spot at 7. Evil Dead Burn, which I assure you is bad, dropped from 6 to 8. I Want Your Sex. Robert, how about a triple feature? Fuck Toys, I Want Your Sex, and Gail... Never mind.
No. Say the third movie, Mark.
Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass. Woo! Ben, it's just... Ben, your number 1 movie of the year, Spider-Man. Number 2, Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass, huh?
I'm making my notes right now.
Thank you, Ben. This is
For the
why I let
record,
you-
I
If
highly
you want to
recommend.
do that, Mark,
I was just saying,
You
for
know
the
what
record,
you're
I highly
getting into.
recommend checking out the Hadestown the Musical. It's just the filmed adaptation of the performance on Broadway, but it's got all the original stars in it, and it is really good. So I highly, if you haven't seen,
It's an expensive Broadway ticket. I know that because I was kind of looking at prices, so that might be a good alternative.
There's no I'm not taking there's no movie to take my kids to this weekend. So we were like going over the list of movies, and I actually said that to them. I'm like, well, here's a movie we could see and enjoy with the whole family. I Want Your Sex. Both my kids fucking spit takes. And they were like, no, father, no. And I can't find anywhere where Fuck Toys is playing, Robert, so you're spared. But no, I have that in my back pocket. Young Washington fell from 8 to 10. Obsession finally fell out of the top 10 down to 11. Backrooms went up a few spots from 16 to 12. The Samurai and the Prisoner debuted at 17. Wild
look, there's
Inside
Supergirl.
23. That is about to be on streaming. And that was the weekend that was worldwide. The number 1 movie in the world is Toy Story. Can't knock the hustle. Don't even try. Michael, which I just saw this past weekend, which I enjoyed, was number 2. But I'd also like to say about Michael, and I'll talk more about this on Thursday, does not need a second half of the movie. It's fine where it ended.
I've heard that.
Just let things end. Let them end, Ben. Ben, why won't you let them Ben? Ben, talk to me, Ben. Ben, why won't you let them end? Why won't you let things end, Ben?
Because you touch yourself at night.
That's not me. That's most of... Never mind. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Yeah, we're gonna say it's not just limited. First of all, that's not limited to night. Second
Oh dear
of all,
God.
Anywho,
our culture is allergic to finality and finishes.
you ain't just whistling Dixie. Did you watch SummerSlam? Of course you did.
Yeah, I
Spider-Man.
covered it.
Spider-Man.
We ended
debuted-
the Shield for the 14th time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And as soon as Moxley comes back, assuming he ever does, we're going to do it again.
Spider-Man Brand New Day debuted at number 4 with $932 million.
Yep.
I would say, question. It's more than likely going to be Mario Galaxy. Do you think it will be Michael?
I honestly think it's going to be Toy Story.
Yeah.
You think it's Spider-Man will be the number 1 movie?
It's got enough runway. Like there's not a lot that's going to eat into its box office. The question is just how many people decide they want to see it a second time. I mean, I wasn't joking when I said an 80% drop. It'll still hit $1 billion next week.
Hilariously, I go to the bathroom after the movie's done, and there's a guy in there who's like, why are these movies so long now? 2.5 hours for a Spider-Man movie? I remember when they were 90 minutes. I laughed. But yeah,
Then you cried.
a little bit in the toilet that I was peeing in. Listen to me. Does this have rewatchability value? I think so. For the humans, the human beings that related to this movie on a human level, I think they'll go back and watch it again. Is that enough to... I think it's going to end up being the number 1 movie of the year because I don't think it's going to end up being... I don't think it's going to end up being Doomsday. I think Doomsday is going to flop harder than than the Fish from the Faith No More video. That's looking like to be a
you're actually
disaster.
more negative on Doomsday than I am. That's impressive.
The closer we get and the more I see, the worse it looks. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Ben? You think Doomsday?
Have you seen the alleged spoilers for Doomsday, Mark?
I have. Like I said, the closer I get, the worse it looks. I was talking to Ben. Ben, how you doing, Ben?
Hey,
Ben,
I don't.
Ben, I love your youthful enthusiasm.
I don't think Doomsday is gonna flop, but I think it's gonna have to do a lot to beat whatever Brand New Day is gonna end up making. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I have my doubts.
I just
In
can't
fairness,
wait
when-
for all the articles talking about. Now remember to see it in Infinity Vision.
In fairness, to the point that Mark's making about Doomsday flopping, that movie is not an exaggeration when you look at the math and you look at the money. that needs a $2 billion box office take to break even.
Yeah, they've priced themselves out of profitability. Anyway, moving on. The Odyssey's at number 5 now. That's almost at $1 billion with 912. The Devil Wears Prada 2, currently on Disney Plus, I believe, is at
Some
$695
$300 million below that one.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, there's like you get from 5 to 6, it's like massive difference.
Yeah, big drop, 3 steps. Project Hail Mary's at 684. Pegasus 3 is at 656. Obsession's at 474. Big hit. Lots of money for that studio.
Yep.
Minions and Monsters currently at the number 10 spot with 449 million. It is all the 300 millions have been knocked out of the top 10 finally. Look at poor Wuthering Heights. Look at you, Wuthering Heights, you cute little devil, you. There you are.
Hey, wait a minute. Is Wuthering Heights above Supergirl?
Yes.
How far down do we have to go for that? One
Here are
more?
all the
Wuthering Heights
movies.
is 17, Supergirl is 29.
Here are all the movies doing better than Supergirl. Mortal Kombat 2, The Sheep Detectives, The Drama, Goat, Scare Out, Scream 7, Blades of the Guardian, Scary Movie, Disclosure Day, Wuthering Heights, Moana, Kung Fu Soccer. The fuck? Dear You, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, Hoppers, and The Backrooms. There you go.
Scary
Supergirl
movies
doing
better.
worse than Moana.
Scary Movie doing better than Supergirl.
All right.
God help us all.
There are no good movies coming out this weekend. Lots of streaming stuff. However, there has been a change in the schedule. This date has changed like 9 times, because this was at one time it was a bunch of MMA movies, then it was a bunch of comedies, and then I saw that Soulmate. Have you heard this, Alexis? Well, now I'm finally talking to you, Alexis. Alexis, hello, Alexis.
Hello,
Alexis.
Mark.
Are you here, Alexis? Are you with us?
Yes. Oh, of course I'm with you, Mark. I'm always with you.
Outstanding. Take my hand and let's go over the Rememberization Bridge. Remember when we used to talk about Megan? Remember Megan and Megan 2.0?
I actually wasn't in on 2.0, but I was in on Megan.
Yeah, that was me, you, Robert, and Jason.
Mhm.
So they did a spin-off called Soulmate, which was supposed to come in theaters, and it's about a real live adult sex bot. You hear that, Ben? A sex bot. A real live adult one. Not this miniature child thing that they got going on that does a dance in a hallway. No. An adult sex bot. And go figure, it never made theaters. However, it is now on PVOD, in case anyone would, after the end of this tortured podcast, would like to go torture themselves and watch Soulmates. So, Robert and I are going to review it on Monday.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Condolences.
The next movie, and really the last movie of any relevance, Spider-Man, for a while, is The End of Oak Street. So the question for the panel, before we go to Rotten Tomatoes, is how much of the audience does The End of Oak Street 2 weeks from now bite into the money for Spider-Man? Robert?
Not a lot. Some, but it's not like The End of Oak Street is tracking to do giant numbers. It might not even take number 1 from Spider-Man in 2 weeks.
Okay. Ben, you have any thoughts? Do you know what The End of Oak Street is?
Yeah. It looked like suburban Jurassic Park, but I'm probably oversimplifying it to a great degree.
Can I tell you, I saw another trailer for that where they just did a slowed down, attempted creepy version cover of the Flintstones theme song over it.
Oh
What?
God, yeah, it was a little. It's just a little girl walking to the car singing the Flintstones theme. This director has a very bizarre penchant for trying to make things seem timeless, but instead of making it smooth, it's like look at all of this stuff that doesn't fit together in the same time period. Notice it. If you can't tell, I didn't like It Follows.
So, do you think
Well,
the end
that's
of
a
Oak?
shame.
Do you think the End of Oak Street bites into Spider-Man: Brand New Day at all?
Like Robert said, probably not enough to take number 1 from it. I think Spider-Man's probably gonna hang on. Gonna be making money till the end of the summer at least.
Same question, Alexis, and then we'll move on.
I definitely agree. Unfortunately, the first trailer for it for End of Oak Street I thought looked pretty interesting, but the more I saw with the dinosaurs, the more I was like, okay, just no.
I've seen Land of the Lost before. I don't need this.
Yeah,
I thought it was Land. I thought it was another Land of the Lost movie. I thought it was.
I would have been.
Would have been better.
I would have been okay if it was an episode of Black Mirror. I honestly, like, I don't. my curiosity with this movie is I don't know what they're gonna do for 2 hours once running away from dinosaurs gets boring. And don't get me wrong, I like to see dinosaurs, Godzilla or something approximating Godzilla, giant monsters tearing apart white people's homes. It's fine. I like that sort of thing. However, for 2 hours, really? That's what we're doing? All right. So we'll be back in a few weeks with our End of Oak Street review, and we can then tell you what they did for 2 hours. Probably nothing good, right, Robert? Right, Robert? Right, Robert?
Well, the aliens with their time travel observation of what was going on is probably going to be a bit much for me when it's all said and done, but...
Robert, I have a
Mark.
question for you, Robert.
Okay,
Robert. No, you have to say Mark now.
Mark.
Robert.
Mark.
Robert, what do you think about them doing a Simpsons sequel next year? 30 some odd years later.
I'm a little bit sad that they had to move the date
Mhm.
because the original... So there's a gag in the... There's a chalkboard gag in the original Simpsons movie where Bart is... one of the episodes right after, where Bart says, like, I will not make you wait another 20 years for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
The original release date for Simpsons movie 2 was literally one day before that number would have ticked over to 20 years.
Okay. It's funny.
They actually had a great gag ready to lined up there, and then they had to push it, so we lost it.
That's playing the long game.
It's coming out next year, and I saw that, and I immediately thought of you, and then I felt your pain, like Cybok.
You know, the last couple seasons of The Simpsons haven't actually been as terrible. Like,
So I heard.
look, 20 through 28 is like unwatchably bad. It's so bad. 29, 30, 31, they've actually kind of rebounded a little bit. So,
Are they still
thumbs
going?
up to the writing crew.
Is like
Of
they're
course
next,
they are.
they're still
Yes.
Simpsons are still on air?
Yeah.
Mark, you'll never stop The Simpsons.
Have no fear.
Have they committed to Maggie talking yet, or no? No.
We've had a couple of episodes take place in the future showing Maggie as a child, like not a baby, but like a 6 or 7 year old, and showing Bart and Lisa as teenagers.
Yeah, I think I saw one where Bart and Lisa were actually a little bit older, and Maggie was around like 12, and they had Maggie fully talking.
Yeah, they've had Lindsay Lohan doing her voice.
Oh, good for Lindsay. It's good to see her get some work.
They've done
What
a
a
few
charming
things-
actress.
They've done a few things like that. They do Yellow Mirror episodes every now and then.
Okay. Anyway, I was looking at the 2027 schedule for possible Damn You Hollywood, and I saw that and I went, poor Robert. That was my thought.
I say the last few Treehouse of Horrors have been pretty good.
Have they?
I have a theory. I do have a theory that if you want a general barometer of how good the season's going to be, how good is the Treehouse of Horror, it's not quite let me down yet. A good Treehouse of Horror usually means a good season. Bad Treehouses of Horror lead to poor seasons.
Speaking of poor seasons, you know what else we're getting next year? Minecraft 2.
We've got the Jumanji trilogy ending.
Oh my
later
god,
this year.
that movie looks so bad.
So my kids and I saw that we got that before Spider-Man. My fucking son's reaction to that was, "What is this piece of shit?" I was like, oh my goodness. I don't think he's seen the other two, so he was way confused.
Oh, you'll have to show him the other two. You should show him the original too, so that you can see
Well,
that
yeah.
this
He
is
did it.
just.
He did.
Oh no!
ask me
Wait, the
about
whole
it.
gimmick is now the board game comes into reality. You mean the '90s version of this movie?
Yeah, I think I told him about the Robin Williams because he'd asked me about it. He was like, "Wasn't there like a real another version of this?" And I'm like, "Yes." So because he saw the trailer and went, "What is this piece of shit?" I had to then go backwards. They were like, "Well, in the previous movie, this is what happened, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing in the trailer." And in the previous movie, we rebooted the whole fucking thing. And in the previous movie, Robin Williams was alive. So I went through that whole line of logic with him. But yeah,
Before everything was terrible.
you know you've movie trained your children a little too well when they look at you, and your 12 and 15-year-old don't want to see the new Jumanji. They're like, "What the fuck? No thanks."
And it kills me because the last two Jumanji movies, while not stellar, were good.
They
would
made
say
a
I
lot of
enjoyed
money.
them.
They made shit tons of money. That's why they keep doing them.
Yeah, the second one not as much as the first.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, I am excited for Dune. Like like I know I'm the one that makes the schedule, so I'm like, annoyed with myself. But propriety is the thing, as Robert knows, because I always tell him that propriety, right, Robert?
Yeah, it's your watchword, Mark.
Yep. So we have to do Doomsday first, but boy, am I annoyed that I have to wait now a week to see Dune 3.
You don't have to wait a week.
I'm not, spent 12 hours in the movie theaters? I got a job. 3 of them, at least. 3 jobs, Ben. I have 3 jobs. It's going to confuse the AI later when it wonders why I did that, and because it can't see what I just did.
What did I tell you about calling me AI?
All right. Well, enough of that slapping and tickling out of the way. Here is your moment of zen.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Well, nobody here agrees with anything we said on this podcast. Everyone fucking loves this movie. It's the best thing ever.
So at this point, is Feige or Sony more likely to just be real life J. Jonah Jameson saying, "Get me more Spider-Man pictures"?
Both.
Yeah.
The critics' tomato meter is 90%. Top critics, oh lordy!
Whoa.
Top critics drops it to 79%.
That's about right.
Robert, did you just copy and paste yourself 700 times? And
I don't have a Rotten Tomatoes account, Mark. I'm not officially a reviewer for them.
Are you Perry Nemiroff in disguise, Robert?
Okay, that may be the worst thing you've ever said to me. That said, look, I know I came off kind of harsh to this thing. Ask me to give it a rating. Nah, it's a 6 out of 10. It's a passing movie.
The verified audience said R. All audience also said R, but a little less louder. All right. The critics' consensus. The AI writes, spinning a web of spectacular set pieces together with mature emotional stakes and Tom Holland's soulful performance. Brand New Day is a promising reset that portends Spidey will remain sticky on the big screen for years. The bad AI. Bad. Terrible.
I was going to say, when did the AI suddenly go full tick bird?
I'm glad I put my anti-AI pin on. It's right here.
So, Ben, I got to
100%
send you
AI-free.
this T-shirt design I saw. It looks like the classic Dare logo. You remember Dare? But it says draw, and instead of keep kids off of drugs, it says keep kids out of generative AI.
I'll take 4.
Jason Miller of Nerdspin, B+. Marvel finally trusts Peter Parker to carry a story on his own shoulders. The fucking Punisher, Jean Grey, and the Hulk are all in this, you numbnut.
Moreover, the other movies, who else was there trying to carry Far From Home?
Yeah, really. Nick
Fury showed up. Shut up.
Yeah. Perry Nemiroff of...
Yeah, since you brought her up earlier.
Yes, sir. This is a movie for everybody except Robert Winfrey. The more casual fan and also more hardcore fan except Robert Winfrey. But I also think Robert Winfrey... I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that joke. This is a movie for everybody. The more casual fan and also the more hardcore fan. But I also think this particular narrative really puts an extreme spotlight on how well developed the Spider-Man series of films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe are. Okay, no one wants to react to that?
Well developed on a treadmill. Going nowhere.
Ooh, hang on. We finally got some splats.
Look, as soon as Ben was on this show, I couldn't make my Joe Quesada reference for this movie, but I had one lined up.
Don't let me stop you.
I don't need your PTSD like that, man.
Glenn Weldon of NPR, Brand New Day is missing something essential. By spotlighting the fracturing of our core trio, the film makes us wallow in it. There's so much heartbreak, we lose the heart.
What?
Aww.
How did you... This is why NPR should be defunded. I object to my money going to you people.
Let's see. Matt Lynch of In Review Online. To that end, at least on paper, Brand New Day succeeds, at least to a degree. What kind of qualifiers in there?
I feel like that ellipsis there is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Dana Barbuto of Boston Movie News, previously from Hustler. B-. With great power comes great abs.
Why is that the quote that it took away?
Might be the most cogent thought that was put to paper there.
Oh boy. The future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Sarah Vincent of Sarah G. Vincent News. The real strength of this movie is the emotional journey that Holland director Destin Daniel Cretton and co-writers Chris McKenna and Eric Summers take Peter Parker and Spider-Man on.
I'm sorry, wait, did this person just say that hiring Cretton was the best addition to the MCU since Ryan Coogler?
Yes.
Actually, I agree.
All of Robert's tumors are now growing.
Well, if he hasn't named at least one of his tumors after me, I'm not doing my job.
Corey
Next thing they'll be
Woodruff,
saying that the best addition is Sean Levy.
great. Corey Woodruff for the win at USA Today. A franchise that used to feel fun now just feels tired and bummed out. I don't even know why we're making movies anymore. We can't handle anything seriously. The quest to make us take seriously has spun out all of the joy.
I don't agree with that. I didn't especially enjoy the movie personally, but pretending that this movie is devoid of, crowd-pleasing moments is to have your head more in the sand than I do.
I would say, again, it's like, I'm sorry, did you not at least enjoy all the scenes between Berthanol and Holland? I mean, Robert, even you admitted the scenes with them were good.
I'd much rather have just watched a team up between those two in a buddy cop movie.
YouTube's Walking Me Too, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome.
He's in the Epstein files. He would have accepted the invite to the island. He's bitter he never got there.
He sure would have.
Damn.
The charming actors, fight choreography, and fun visuals make the film worth seeing, but the familiar themes from the other Spider-Man films does make me wish the franchise would evolve into new territory.
I don't disagree with the back half of that statement, at least.
Ruben Rosario of Miami Art Zine. What it really needed was a filmmaker with the drive to deliver a movie that lives up to the promise of its title. Cretton ultimately chooses to not rock the boat. Maybe somebody ought to just do that.
What were you
Again, I
hoping
actually
for?
I don't disagree with the fact that I don't think there's a single studio note that he turned down as a director for this movie.
Kyle Smith of the Wall Street Journal, formerly a newspaper. It wallows in angst and stress, but has no psychological depth, sticking to bromides like "you're special" and "be yourself." Being somber is a lot easier than being serious. Jesus Christ, did the people writing some of these reviews not talk to other people?
No.
Well, that's look, man. That's kind of what it came off to me. So I can't completely disagree with that.
Okay. Sarah Michelle.
I also just think it was a lot of surface level emotional stuff instead of anything deep.
What you want it to be, the drama? Sarah Michelle Fetters. The street level adventure of our friendly neighborhood MCU Spider-Man is a breath of fresh air. Sarah always in with a meaty quote.
She is happy to provide ad copy for the movie studios.
I was going to say, there's your tick bird.
R. Rhymes and Aphrodisiac. Former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Janine T. Abraham of Viz. I've never read her before. That's a great name. Hey, Robert, Vis-able black woman. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it?
No.
Good. Thank you for consistently no-selling my idiocy.
That's why
Spider-Man.
it works, Mark. If I played along with it, it wouldn't work.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is worth every single bit of hype. Thank you, Vis-able black woman. Nick Johnson of Voluland. Holland and the other core cast make this work so well as popcorn melodrama that it's understandable that audiences would eat it up and ask for seconds and thirds and fourths.
Maybe that's one of the reasons this movie missed me, because I saw it like the day after having to sit through a 30-minute wank fest between Roman and Seth. It was 80% melodrama.
You really should space out your fake melodrama. You'll be a lot happier.
Probably. At least this one didn't drive me to homoerotic jokes just to amuse myself.
Speaking of homoerotic jokes, Amy Nicholson of the Los Angeles Times. Cretton sees a small moments to put his stamp on this installment, just as Zendaya's, of course you were talking about Zendaya's sweetie, aspirationally chill MJ insists she won't work for some soulless corporation. He's quietly made a humanist super flick.
The supreme irony of I won't work for a soulless corporation is you cash Disney checks.
Yes, even children pick that up, Robert.
Well, your children are smarter than the average children. They steal picnic baskets.
Ironically, a joke in the original Simpsons movie.
It all adds up. Where are all my people? It's more specifically
Gone through most of them.
Yeah, well, I haven't gotten to Jeff yet. Oh, speaking of Jeff, Scott Mendelson of The Outside Scoop. This is
interchangeable human beings.
This is a Peter Parker Spider-Man for the COVID generation, growing up amid a loneliness epidemic in a hellish post-war American dream economy. Here's Scott Mendelson.
Yeah, because everyone's, working class people are still drawing money from the billions left behind by the Tony Stark Foundation.
The original, the loveliest, the wonderful, first ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey.
I wrote her a very long letter, Mark, about how much she meant to me and how much it's okay that she doesn't remember and how much I want to get back together. It's been sitting in a coffee cup for 4 years. I should probably give it to her at some point.
Indeed. Spider-Man Brand New Day is an emotional roller coaster, and it didn't want to get off. I didn't want to get off. Tom Holland is at his best with a more mature Spider-Man and depth.
I will say, someone actually brought up, I doubt it's true, but it's kind of a funny concept, because at the end you see everyone cheering for Spider-Man, and a handful of them are wearing the costumes, or it's a replica of the costume that Peter Parker wore before he got the upgrade from Tony Stark, the sweats and everything. And someone says, like, well, yeah, there are all those YouTube videos of him zooming around that, Tony found. And then so it said, maybe that's how Peter's making his money. He's monetizing all of the YouTube videos that he appears in.
He's a content creator.
I'd accept it, man, if he's the one anonymously sending in videos to the online equivalent of the Daily Bugle.
I was going to say that would be the equivalent of getting photos for J. Jonah Jameson nowadays.
I completely lost my patience with Gary from Neurotic when one of his complaints was, why doesn't he work at the Daily Bugle? The newspaper industry is in free fall, you asshole. Who's it going to work for?
Mark, be serious. You'd have thrown a hissy fit if Clark Kent wasn't a reporter for the Daily Planet.
I wouldn't have. I told you I don't give a shit about any of this anymore.
Okay, you don't, but people.
I still stand by turning the Daily Bugle into an InfoWars style knockoff was probably one of the smartest things they did in the original trilogy.
And immediately abandoned it. Like, we never saw it again. All right.
Well, we can only afford J.K. Simmons for so much.
Well, speaking of abandoning things, this podcast is now over. So thank you for joining us on our review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Ben, lovely Ben, quiet Ben, demure Ben, this wonderful sent from the heavens Ben. Glad you could join us, Ben. Did you have a good time, Ben?
Yes? Question mark?
Go better before it got awkward here at the end.
Am I making you uncomfortable, Ben? So is there anything else coming out this year that you're at all interested in? Are you interested in, in Doomsday, or, beyond, just guess I go to the movies?
Yeah. Or, maybe X-Men 97. I'm sorry, I had something in my throat.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, yes, Benjamin J. Cologne will return.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure Ben will give a glowing review of Samara Weaving as Emma Frost when that comes out.
So will I. Hubba hubba.
I want to throw something at you, Mark.
Must be a day that ends in Y. Go ahead, Alexis.
I was like, let the fanboys drool over Samara Weaving in white lingerie.
I need to say this real fast because we're getting towards the MCU trying to introduce the X-Men. Guys, somebody pointed this out and I think it's true. I don't know how well this is going to work because one of the biggest components that makes the X-Men tick is that they're all horny.
And they're in the sexless Disney universe.
Yes. Like, bear in mind, I don't need sex scenes, but Eros is an important component of what makes the X-Men tick and their interpersonal dramas and everything. And the MCU hasn't had a believable love interest in romance since Captain America and Peggy Carter.
I thought you were gonna say Captain America and Bucky. Ben.
That's not my favorite. That's not my slash fic, Mark.
Would you like to continue with your plug, sir? Uninterrupted, sir.
Oh, I'm plugging? Okay. Well, I'm still trying to get my website off the ground with twigs and mud. But in the meantime, as I have been continuously promoting my comic, Heroes One and All is officially out.
Put it back up again.
There we go. Here's One and All, #1. It is out. It is on sale. It is by me, story and art. And I still, because I always do this from my drawing table, so all I have to do is keep the paper with the QR code to the
little more
purchase.
to your left.
Okay.
There you
Now I got it because I have the vertical stream open too.
There you go.
But yeah, you can check that out. If you want to purchase a copy, you scan here. It'll take you directly to where you can purchase a copy. I'm waiting on that review from you, Robert. Yeah, you can, and hopefully, I will have, found somebody competent enough to help me, actually get my website running the way it's supposed to very soon. And when that happens, you'll be able to purchase it at heroesoneandall.com. In the meantime, you can find me on many of the social medias. I am Epic Benjamin J on all the things. That includes Twitter /X, YouTube, Twitch, Threads, Blue Sky, Discord, Instagram, Carrier Pigeon, and Stone Tablet, I think. And I'm usually doing some kind of artwork of some kind that I actually did. I did Sketchbook Saturday this past Saturday. I did one of Sadie Sink, and I was quite proud of how that came out. So there may be some more stuff like that again. Every so often I get the itch to do portraiture. So keep an eye out for that.
So you wanted to come on the Supergirl comic book review. Comic books have kind of ceased for the time being while Jesse catches up on the 900 podcast, him and everyone else did. But we are going to do a recording at some point in the near future of I think it's Mike Straczynski run on Thor. I don't know, are you a Thor person or you're a Mike Straczynski person?
I'm a Straczynski person, certainly. And I have read some of that Thor run, and I liked it a lot.
All right.
So, yeah.
If you feel like finishing that run and talking about it, you know where to find us.
Okie dokie.
All right, speaking of knowing where to find us, no matter how hard we hide, Alexis, would you like to do your plugs?
Well, you guys are hiding from me for a while because I actually have very few podcasts that I'm going to be doing this month, mostly because I'm going to be working my butt off for Honeysuckle Rose Creations for Fashion Meets Fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We have 3 conventions starting this weekend. We are going to be working Comic-Con Nebraska and Omaha. Weekend after that is KC Crypticon here in Kansas City. Weekend after that is Colorado Springs Comic-Con. Now, I will be back at the end of this month, not only with 2 back-to-back TV party tonights. We're going to be looking at X-Men 97. Ben, I do want to get you on the schedule for that one. And we're also going to be looking at the 3rd season of House of the Dragon, talking about everyone's favorite dragon, Sheep Stealer. But the week after that, I'll be helming a Damn You Hollywood because YouTube basically said, Coyote versus Acme, what the hell have we done to deserve this? So it'll be me and Zach Strobel working on that one.
The fuck you talking about?
I thought you said you said you two didn't want to be on that one, and you were.
I would appreciate you stop hallucinating.
Yeah, we're both fine to be on that. I don't know.
I never said I wasn't. I think what I said to you at the time was, I know how much you guys want to do this, so we'll go ahead and do this, implying I would still be there in my normal role as with Robert.
I could have sworn you said you were giving it.
You should stop doing drugs. So, yes, we will all be on Coyote versus Acme.
Which, lamentably, is not tracking all that well right now. Come on, people.
There's a shock. Anything else, Alexis?
Per usual, the internet is not real life.
As always, we have our shops on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. You can find us on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
What's funny about that is like it's in the calendar with your name, Robert's name, and Zach's name. And like as for anything else that I'm on, I don't put my name on there because I'm the fucking hosting them. God bless you. All right. This Thursday, Shay Tate's back. Despite her protestations and the amount of money it costs, we will be talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, Michael, finally getting around to that, and The Doors by a director I have never talked about on here on a tote other than every given Sunday, Oliver Stone. I really need to throw together an Oliver Stone triple feature one of these days. But that's what we're doing. We're doing biopics, music biopics all night, all the time. Bohemian Rhapsody, Michael, and The Doors. Monday, Robert will continue to request that elder witches and other magicians curse me as I make him talk about Soulmate, the spinoff from Megan. And then a week from Thursday, Kat will probably be in the pool again, and we're going to be talking about season 1 of Bonding from Netflix, the BDSM comedy that's on that network. So that's what I'm doing. Robert, what are you doing?
Trying to, find strength to soldier on. See if there's a reason to get up in the morning.
Mine are my children.
Some days mine is your children too. Just the knowledge that if I went away, you'd be sad, and that would make them sad.
Robert, at the very least, Jonas would be very sad.
Yeah, his spiritual godfather would no longer be here. And
that's right. We would all be missing something without you.
Yeah.
Do your fucking plugs already.
Like you miss a rock in the shoe. I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. WWE SmackDown every Friday, and the go-home show for SummerSlam was terrible. I covered night 2 of WWE SummerSlam because going straight from the UFC event Saturday morning into night 1 of SummerSlam might have driven me over the edge. So my full review of night 2 of SummerSlam, where nothing gets more than 15 minutes of in-ring time except Roman and Seth, because they get 30 to make sweet, sweet love with their eyes.
Your bit was funny, by the way.
No, thank you.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
At that point in the match, I was like, I can't anymore with this.
I still think it's hilarious if independently, Lily and I were making the same jokes. Her just kiss already, screaming it at the television, like Sam Kinison, the highlight of my night.
Look, I don't make a lot of gay jokes at wrestling because wrestling's dumb enough. But much as I would like to just say, I've lamented here, like we can't just have stories about male bonding that's not erotic. Something about the energy those two were giving off at that point was just like, yep, I can't ignore that one.
If my asexual 15-year-old daughter could see it, everyone could see it.
And then poor Seth, sitting across the ring from Roman, looking at him with the saddest expression, like, my work husband divorced me. Anyway, I covered night 2 of SummerSlam, which had ups and downs. And I covered the UFC's event on Saturday morning, which was their debut in Serbia, and despite having 14 fights on the card, which please never again, had enough mismatches to appease the blood gods of MMA. So my full report for that is in the MMA zone. The wrestling stuff is in the wrestling zone, both at 411mania.com. This Friday, SmackDown, the fallout from SummerSlam, where Kevin Owens and CM Punk will hurl horrible words at each other. And that'll be a great 3-week event until Sami Zayn costs Kevin Owens the title, because Sami and Kevin must just go until one of them dies.
I think they're destined to do this forever.
I once heard someone say "fight forever," Ben. I did hear that somewhere. It was at a bingo hall many, many years ago. I heard the whispers "fight forever."
Yeah, and it was directed at 2 people who aren't with us anymore. So, Yeah, you can find that. And then this Saturday, the UFC's back in the warehouse. If you want something of a preview of this, I owe like everyone an apology for the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast that I did Sunday evening / Monday morning. I was not only tired, I was sick. I actually wound up taking a break in the live stream because, yeah, not good. So my preview is not great. My review is iffy. Skip that episode unless you want to just get to the end and hear me yell at the MMA landscape once again about.
Was it like the time that you and I reviewed Keep Your Hands Off Isaac and I kept vomiting?
Not quite as often as that, but
Okay.
since I'm doing that solo, you're not far off.
Okay, oof, that was a rough episode.
It was, and yeah, this was. So look,
What are you making a face about? I told everybody, I don't care if I'm dead, I'm still doing the podcast.
No,
Ben
Oh.
over here, who I've been very nice to all evening, and now he's making faces at me.
I'm just over here begging for a crumb of context. Like,
it was during chemo, and Mark was just.
I was super sick. It was either pre-chemo, or it was at a time where I could not keep anything inside my body.
well, now I really feel like a dick. So
So I'm dying. Get this. And I refuse to not do a podcast. You know, my wife will tell you as much, my ex-wife. And so we decided we're going to review an anime called Keep Your Hands Off Isaac that I have to keep, like, stopping the podcast to go vomit. But I soldiered through, god damn it.
You did. And God bless you for it.
I think I'm just gonna mute myself for the duration now. This didn't end the way I thought it would.
So anyway, like I think the only thing worthwhile in this last episode was the end when I talk about what happened with Anthony Smith. And I have to yell at the MMA landscape again about how apparently we're just not going to learn anything. And we're just not going to have a reckoning about what to do about fighter pay and CTE and gym culture until we actually get a Chris Benoit situation in MMA instead of learning from it. Mark, you can probably sympathize with what happened to poor Anthony Smith. He was arrested for assault, unlawful detainment. He got into a fight with his wife in a bar, threw her in the car, locked her in the car. She got out of the car. He tried to run her over with the car.
Well, you can't do any of that.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here like, guys, we're this close to... I lived through the Benoit thing, man. I don't want to do that again. And you should learn, boxing you are like the apex of actual combat sports and professional wrestling, both of whom have had to deal with this and have had to have their come to Jesus moments about it. Rather than use the infinite wisdom at your disposal, nah, BJ Penn's fine. Nah, what happened to Stephen Bonner was just a tragic accident. No, we don't have to do anything about any of this. And it's starting to really get to me because more and more fighters were getting there, man. And I've been, time's a flat freaking circle. I've been on this ride before. I don't want to be here anymore.
Sounds like that's the phrase that pays here on the Damn You Hollywood. I don't want to be here anymore. So, are you done?
Yes, you can find me on all those places. And yeah, next Monday,
Soulmate, baby.
Mark will have a lot to say about what it means to have a relationship with a semi-animate sex toy. And I will...
Hey, don't talk about my time at the swinger party house.
And
Just
I
remember-
will be here to be the wall for him to bounce material off of and see what sticks.
So just remember, there are already a lot of people out there who have essentially turned their chat GPTs into their significant others. We're not that far off.
Yeah.
Right there.
No. The robots exist. They're just like $300,000. At this point, we're just waiting for the price to come down. Anyway. Well, this was fun. This was a fun
If you want to
review.
talk about the actual end of civilization, that's how you get it.
Hurry up. All right, for Ben Cologne, who I always enjoy in the show, Ben Cologne, good to his mother, Ben Cologne. For Interruptus Salatus, Alexis Hano.
You need an actual like caption, Alexis, like the Wile
Like Coyote cartoons, yes.
For the Wile E. Coyote versus Acme event, you need one of those to be under you.
For Calendarus Interruptus, Alexis Haina. Or Robert Winfrey, I'm a dumbass. Be well, be safe, and behave.